Huh. Check, check, check. Test one, two. All right. Microphone sounds like it's doing okay. My microphone gain still seems to be a little bit high. So you can hear all the little things happening around my desk. Okay, I guess those who are currently tuned in, if you could let me know how I'm sounding, that would be great. For those who are listening into the stream, how does my audio sound? I will unmute that microphone. Mute myself in the stream so that I don't confuse myself entirely. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. It's 12:01, and like I said, we have a fairly full agenda, so I want to make sure we have enough time for any and all questions that may come in as we are chatting. But welcome everybody to the June WiscWeb Lunch and Learn. Today is a pretty full conversation. I sent out a tentative agenda on Tuesday, but then subsequently more things started to get added to it as we were talking throughout the week. So we just have a couple of reminder type things, and then we will get into the bulk of the conversation. But let me just go ahead and swap some things around here. Let's go to here. So I guess to start, hi, I'm Matt Goins, by the way, the person you get the emails from most of the time. So to start with, we just wanted to reiterate and remind folks who are newer to our service or who have just requested sites that have not yet launched. We have made the launch, the unlaunched site banner live in WiscWeb. And I just want to make sure that people are aware of what its purpose is and what you need to do with it. So when you request a site with WiscWeb, you get a project site, something.wiscweb.wisc.edu. This is not a quote unquote launched site. It's still live. It's just not launched. So it's not launched to the URL that you want it to be live at. So this banner at the top is that reminder that you need to still launch your site. And we have the checklist, a link to the checklist over there on the right, and then actually a link to the launch form over there on the right. And we still get questions about this on a pretty regular basis. So we're trying to, this is something that we, myself, Jenna, the team, we try to figure out what the best way is to do this. So this is our current attempt at helping folks sort of realize the difference between launched and unlaunched, but it's there. So hopefully that'll help folks realize that a little bit more. Second thing I wanted to touch on, we are still looking for folks to become a little more active in our feature request board. The KB doc is out there in our knowledge base. It's doc 110624. And this has a link to our GitLab feature request board, which is right here. And this is the type of thing that we are hoping you, as our user base, as our customer base, we want you to get a little more active and involved with this, to let us know what type of features you're looking for, what type of additions to the service, heck, even what types of things you'd like to have removed. Some things that you just don't feel like are necessary, cumbersome, whatever it might be, let us know, because this is something that we can use to, in turn, converse with UW marketing, to talk to them about some features that may go into some of the work that they do, which then comes down the line to things that go into the UW theme. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about in a little bit here in regards to our theme update today, that's all part of conversation that we've had with folks in the past. And so we're trying to streamline that a little bit by having this feature request board out there for people to take advantage of. So just wanted to remind people about that's out there. Another just general reminder, we've talked about this in the past, but starting next, I wrote it down, starting next Wednesday, June 16th, we are going to make live our Gravity Forums restricted data notification. This little modal window is going to appear the first time that you access Gravity Forums, and this is for everyone. Every administrator within a site who accesses the forums area will see this little pop-up come up. All it is it's a reminder to not collect particular types of data. It's just a sign-off type thing, and then it will return every 90 days. We want to make sure that this is something that just stays fresh in people's minds. This is an ongoing conversation for us as well, because of the types of data that you might want to collect from students, from potential students, from alumni, anything of that nature. We just want to make sure that you're not collecting data that is not secure or that is sensitive, because the data is not secure. It is accessible by anyone who has access to your site, including us on the WiscWeb team. So we just want to make sure that people are aware of that. I'll be sending an email reminder out on Monday about this, but then it's going live on Wednesday, June 16th. So again, just a general reminder there. And then the last little reminder that I wanted to touch on before we get into the bulk of our topics today is we are going to be taking down the COVID-19 banner as well. I'm going to be working on that this afternoon after the lunch and learn. It's just its time has come. We've talked with folks and gotten the okay to take it down. It's no longer needed. All the information is out there. People know where they should be going. If you want to add something on your site to direct people to the COVID-19 or any of the campus COVID-19 information, you can. But we're going to go ahead and just take down that automatic banner that we had placed up there when everything started to happen last summer. So just be aware of the fact that that's going away in case you have any questions about that. So that being said, let us bump over here. I'm just looking at the chat right now. Yeah, it's always iffy for me as well, the blurriness. If I let's have some weirdception going on right now. So if I go into the quality and I change it to say 720, oof, that got weird quick. Usually that helps with the quality. If I go in and change the settings for the quality of the actual playback, that'll sometimes have an effect on it as well. If you leave it as auto, it'll do best for your connection. So just to be aware of that later. Let's see. All right, let's get into the good stuff here. So we launched the new the update to UW theme, UW theme version 1.15.0. I want to make sure that I just mention that, the UW theme is always a collaboration between the WiscWeb team and marketing. This past theme release, there was a lot of collaboration between our team, and it was from our perspective, it was great to see the back and forth between our developers and the marketing developers and the testing and the troubleshooting to come to this particular release of it. And I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out because it is a lot of work, and it is a lot of testing, a lot of troubleshooting, a lot of back and forth, a lot of I didn't think about that. It's a lot of perspectives going into this release, and it was a nice collaboration between our two groups this past theme release. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out because you guys always hear about things from the WiscWeb perspective, but marketing has a huge hand in this as well, and I did want to make sure that I gave them their due just for this. Okay. So all the fun things that are now alive in the theme. So obviously we've talked about this ad nauseum, but the new button exists within the UW theme. And so again, we can click on that. You can choose the type of button that you want to put into there. You have several options. That's what it would look like there. I enter and another one. We'll leave everything as blue default text. And update the page. And there she blows. The new button is there. So again, we've talked about this already. Couple of minor things to touch on here, just because it has come up in the past. Can't enter real quick. Please try to avoid putting in too much into a button, just because for one, it doesn't really look that good, but two, it could potentially break if like you're on a certain screen size. that kind of thing. It's just, oh boy. So it's not something that we recommend just from a user experience standpoint, just from a usability standpoint. Just keep things quick, short, sweet, to the point. Don't don't get too adventurous with your buttons there. So another thing that comes along with the button is the fact that we've also added in a essentially it's kind of like a button cloud, but you can now use buttons in the group of links option. So cloud, I can style them as buttons. Again, you have your options for color, size, and whether or not you want them reversed. You can use a there. I never remember if I have any good menus to use. Yeah, so I don't have any really good menus to do there. So which menu did I use? Test. Let's go here real quick. Let's edit my test menu. Let's add several pages to it. And so now we have this option as well, the group of links as buttons. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. We just wanted to show off that that works now, and it is pretty slick. It's just another way to create some on-screen, really nice visual navigation. Um, so again, same caveat as before. You don't want to use too long of names in these types of things because it could throw off the visual element of it. But just be aware that it's there and it looks good. I'm a fan of this. Let's see. We have been doing just kind of looking at the chat right now. So Michael's question specifically, um, we have been trying to test color variations with the various backgrounds that are available in the column layouts. We think we've gotten that all squared away. But if you do run into one where like the button color disappears or the text disappears within there, drop us a line so that we can take a look at that and merge something into there so that we can fix that. But like I said, we did do a bit of testing with that. We tried to find all the little variations, but sometimes that doesn't work as well. We miss them. Many eyes still does not always make it right. So let's see here. Okay. All right. So that was the new button. The next one is the faculty staff filtering option. So this one is a newer feature that we have added. So I just want to go over here and make sure I've got people created and I've got faculty types created. Yep. Okay. So let's go back to the pages. So we have added in the ability for you to actually filter your faculty staff based on either name or by faculty type. So to add it, I mean, first step is always make sure you're adding your faculty staff members down here. Make sure that's done so that you can actually pull them into the list when you make it on your page. So to make it, you add your faculty staff listing right there. You can give it a title. As I noted in the email that I sent out this afternoon or this morning, this will only work if you have your faculty staff listing set to all faculty staff. You cannot do this if you have set it to by type or if you have individual people selected. This is meant for the ability to filter an entire list. So make sure that's set. I'll get to this in a second. You have the option to then include filtering. You can define where you want that filter to appear, either above the listing or left of the listing. You can give it a title. The title is just basically like your instructional item there. So filter, we'll say staff for now. And then, all the other information is in here. Standard display photos, etc. Okay, let's update the page. Let's view the page. And then this is above. So now you can see I can start my filter, and now it just limited to just people who meet that particular one. And again, it is searching name there. Let's go length. So again, that's pretty straightforward. The by type, again, this will only be there if you have faculty types created. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to that as well. So again, if I wanted to just select alumni, there's one. Leadership, there's that one. Band, there's that one. Training, there's that one. So that is the faculty staff filter. It is pretty cool to me. So let's take a look at what it looks like if I put it off to the left. And so here's what it looks like when it's off to the left. And now instead of drop downs, you get selectors over here. It's pretty straightforward. I don't know what else to say about it. Make sure you create your faculty. If you're interested in using the filtering by type, make sure you create faculty types. Make sure you use the full list and then set it and go. Caveat to this one that I just want to make sure that I touch on is if your site has had any customizations done to the faculty staff list functionality, there are a few out there that had that customization done to them back in the day. This will not work for you because of the fact that the customization that was done overwrites this particular functionality. So, as I put in the email, if you look at this and you go, you know what, we would really just rather use this, drop us an email so that we can investigate the customization that was done and the ease or work that would need to be done in removing it. I wait for questions. I see no questions. I move on. Okay. So next one up, the social media meta information. So this one is, I'm going to try and sound like I know what I'm talking about. I'm a little out of my comfort zone. But essentially, we wanted to make it easier and also a little more refined for those of you who do post things to social media. Specifically, Twitter was the one where we were seeing this being a little more touchy on. So what we did was we added this meta tag settings section. Now, wherever it appears on your page, you can drag it around. It is a movable item. If this isn't something that you want to see at all, you can always go up to your screen options and turn the meta tag settings function off. But what this does is it allows you to create various functionality that will be picked up by a social media function when it gets posted there. So let me go over to posts actually and do this because that's where it's supposed to be. So let's just call this meta tag posts, say. Post lorem ipsum yada yada. Okay, so now we can go down here and I can give it a title. I can give it an image. We'll just give it Bucky to keep it easy. Let's see this. You can choose what type of Twitter card you want, summary card or summary with large image. And then you can add other meta tags to this as well. Again, this is for those of you who use this on a regular basis, you'll be aware of what this stuff does. But you can add in additional meta tags if you so desire. And then I will go ahead and publish this. And then just take a quick look at the post itself. So there's the post there. But now what I can do is, and this is in the knowledge base document, but there is a site that we used to test this out, and it is this opengraph .xyz. I can grab the URL and check it and test out what it's going to look like in the various social media areas where I would post it. And again, you can see there's my image, there's the title that I applied to it, and then there's that little description right there. So that's what it looks like. And again, oh, hang on a sec. Scott wants to talk, so I'm going to unmute that. Go ahead, Scott.
Just a quick note about this as well. So this does provide the options for you to tweak the social media descriptions and titles that show up, but you don't actually have to fill out those form fields if you don't want to. The UW theme does have some options and settings in place to pull that in based on the title of your post or page, as well as the excerpt that is on the page. So this is just kind of the means to tweak it a little bit more and customize it for what you're looking for. But if you don't want to do that, you can just let it have the default settings, and those settings will also apply to everything that has already been created. So if you want to go in and update these and add custom images and descriptions and stuff like that, you can do that. But if you don't do that, it'll just pull in from content that's already existing. So this is just kind of an extra set of tools to let people potentially tweak their content a little bit more for what they're looking to target.
So again, we do have a number of sites who do actively use social media for a number of the things that they post. So this is just one of those things to give them more control over that functionality. So let me go back to this real quick because I wanted to touch on the question that came in from Kristen. So the question is, can you change the faculty staff name to something more general to include students and faculty and staff? This is a conversation that we've had in the past. We haven't really found it a necessity. I understand the request, but it's not something that we have. Once you start using it, you understand. I mean, I have I have worked with groups who use this they use the faculty staff listing for alumni. They use it for student employees. They use it for external individuals, like people who might be part of a board. They use that for that. So it is universal. The titling is a little weird, but we kind of just went with it as it's the default for that particular functionality. Once you get used to it, you kind of stop thinking about it and just kind of just know that it is the listing. Yeah, I mean we've heard it before. We've heard that request before, I should say, and we just kind of we look at it and we go, it'll work because primarily it is meant to display faculty and staff. We do get that some folks will have student workers or students or grad students or something of that nature. If you use your types, that makes it a little bit easier for you to discern between those particular individuals there. So, but we have gotten that request in the past. We look at it and we go, it'll work. It does what it needs to do for that purpose. So let's see. The social media stuff, this is going faster than I thought it would, so that's good. So then the last thing, we will go back to posts because it actually exists within the post area. It exists in the pages, but this particular thing is defined in the post itself. We also updated the featured image area because the wording was a bit awkward. But what you can do is you can set a featured image for a post. And by default, it will not show that image at the top. And the reason for that is a lot of times, and I'll bring up the Havens Right Center because this is the site that uses it quite a bit. But what you'll see is what was done here was these are all featured images for these posts, and they're all just profile photos. And usually what happens is when you get a profile photo, it's usually a small image. It's a thumbnail or, a very small image. And what happens is when that image is placed at the top of a page, there is a defined height and width for the top or for the featured image on the post itself that stretches and pixelates those images so much that it just does not look very good. And so what we did was we set up an option so that you could hide that particular image from the top of the post if you wanted to. But again, the wording was awkward. It wasn't as obvious as we wanted it to be there. So what we did was we updated this to now toggle it off by default and allow you to say, yes, I want it to show above. So if I click update here and now view the post, there is that image now at the top. And again, if you have an image that's large enough, it will work. But a lot of times people were using images that were much smaller and didn't work as well as they would like. And so in those instances, what my recommendation always was if you had an image that was that small, you could just put it in the post itself. So now I could just go and grab that and I could say, you know what, I really just want to show the thumbnail. So I could click insert into post. I can, hey, am I having a browser issue? There we go. That's interesting. Might have to test that out. I don't know if Scott, you're muted right now, but I don't know if you're seeing that. That might be something we have to look at because it's not single clicking onto it. I have to double click onto it to select it. I wonder if that's new. Anywho, put it in the post. Let it float either left or right, and imagine that being that small of an image, and now you can just put that into there, which is what we were doing with the Havens Right Center. So he would just place the image on page rather than having it appear up here too large. Holy cow, we fired through that faster than I thought we would. I guess I'll yield the floor for any questions, or anything that my cohorts in the Hangout want to say. I'll unmute there for that purpose. But
there's also the option to set the default site featured image in the customizer.
Oh, that's another thing. I didn't thank you, Scott, for saying that, because now I forgot two things. So there's two other things to touch on. I didn't write them down in my notes because I didn't. So if you go to your customizer, so appearance, customize, there is a, let's see, that's the, here's your default meta image. So if you wanted to use your logo as the default image for those meta tag items, you could do that here if you wanted to. And so this would be what would default if you didn't update any of those other meta tags. And then lastly, there is a new section in the customizer called fonts. And you now have the ability to change this default font that appears into that appears in the paragraph sections, the text blocks, I should say. It defaults to Georgia. You can update it to be Verlag there. So that's now a choice that exists within the customizer area as well. Babaluba. That's it for that one there. Let me look over here real quick. Let's see. Felipe, does incorporating the meta tag settings mean we continue to steer away from Yoast? To answer that, really, I guess I'll speak from my own standpoint, and then I can let Jenna can say something to this as well if she'd like. But we have steered away from Yoast because Yoast is such a large, encompassing plugin that it makes us nervous to try to incorporate it into the WiscWeb service as a whole. And then subsequently, Yoast is such a huge plugin that has a lot of SEO functionality that, quite frankly, we as a team cannot support. And the more plugins we add, the more we have to support those plugins, the more we have to make sure that they don't break any of the things that we do within the theme. So we have steered away from Yoast basically because it's just a huge plugin that does a lot of great stuff, but also requires a level of knowledge that we don't have on the team, and we can't really support when a person just wants to use Yoast. So that's why we've tried to incorporate more of what Yoast does into some of the things that are automatically done or can be done in the background. So for example, the Google XML sitemap plugin and the incorporation of that with Google Search Console. That was to help Google crawl your site more efficient. The meta tag functionality, that's to improve your ability to affect the social media postings and things like that. But I mean, yeah, using Yoast scares me. I guess I'll just say it that way, because having to support it, having to teach people how to use it, and having to make sure that people are using it correctly is just something that we don't have the time or people for, or the expertise in to do. Let's see. Lori's question. So Lori, we're meeting on Monday, obviously. But I'll just touch on it for any. I don't know that there's anything else other to say than Gravity Forms to Eloqua, the integration. We're aware of it. I guess I don't do you the check to re-enable integration until the fix is applied. I guess Scott, you're supposedly working on that. Do you know what your time frame is on that?
Uh, I think we're hoping to roll that out soon.
Okay.
Hopefully next week.
Yep.
The work is almost done. We do have a couple other things blocking it, but
Okay.
we're hoping to get all that cleared out by next week sometime. So
Yeah.
hopefully next week or soon the week after.
Yeah. So there's not much else to say other than we're working on it. We know it's not working. Manually to have them write to Eloquent. Users can manually recheck the box in their gravity forms to have them write to Eloquent again. Okay. So there you go. Let's see here. Go back up. Nick was answering that. No, there are only program sites on the WiscWeb services and I struggle with SEO. This seems like a good compromise. Yeah, Felipe, I guess I would also say take a look at that Google XML sitemap plugin or take a look at Google Search Console as well. Those also were things that we were really trying to push folks towards to improve that SEO functionality. Let's see.
And I think, can I chime in with the SEO stuff too?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you still have features that are in Yoast that you might potentially want to see either in the UW theme on list, UW theme or WiscWeb, feel free to let us know. I think one of the meta tag stuff was some of the biggest requests that we've seen people want Yoast for. So Yoast obviously does have a lot more features and functionality in it, but this was the one that we saw folks asking for the most. So if there is other functionality that a lot of folks want, I think that would be something that we can definitely look into, just to try and, I think a lot of the issues from Yoast came from the fact that there was also like a premium option, and what that meant for WiscWeb as a service, as well as our users, that kind of complicated it a lot. So I think if we can try and replicate some of those features that you're looking for, I think, we'd be happy to take a look at that depending on what they are. So
yeah,
let us know what you want. And that kind of segues back to the feature request board that Matt talked about earlier.
Yep. And then Scott, another question came in. Are meta tags visible on the post if it is not posted on Twitter and others?
Yeah, so the meta tags are not just for social media. They also change what appears for Google search results and other search engines. So if you do add stuff there, that will be applied to the post in general. It's not just social media. Obviously, that content has to mean something. So what you're putting in right now, Matt, would do pretty much nothing.
I know. I'm doing it for testing.
Regardless of where it is posted, it'll still have an effect on it. We do have the links to documentation for various different social media websites, because different social media websites have different things that you can add. So I know Twitter has some more advanced tags that you can add that are specific to Twitter. So in that case, yes, those would really only be beneficial on Twitter. But in general, if you're changing the title and description, that will also change what is showing up on Google and other search engines.
So to answer that question, are they useful for SEO also? To a certain extent, yes, depending upon how well Google is crawling your site. So I don't know if I have it active in here. Tools, settings, I do. So XML sitemap, you can have it crawl or have it be aware of certain taxonomies or certain functionalities. So for example, I can include tag pages in my search function. Sorry, brain skipped a beat there. So let me go down and update that real quick. But if I create over here on the right side some tags, I update that. This becomes a page that can be crawled by Google. So are they useful? Sure. depending upon how much and how you use them. SEO is, I mean, SEO is like a puzzle game in my mind. It's trying to find the right mix and match to get Google to pay attention to you more. Um, there are a lot of wrong ways. There are probably a lot of right ways. There is no truth to what is the one right way, because each site is different, each use of a site is different, each search is different, and you basically just have to do the best for the audience that you know is there, and the best that you do for them helps all of that out in the long run. Let's see. Any other questions? Any question about buttons? No, that's Michael and Nick. Nick was answering Michael's question. Um, seeing Rich and Michael in um, here as well. I just wanted to touch on one thing. I know we have a good audience in here, so I want to make sure that I do touch on this. We had a community of practice. So there is a WordPress community of practice here on campus. It is made up of a bulk of WiscWeb users. I mean, WiscWeb is a huge WordPress use on campus. But the community of practice is meant for all WordPress users. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about like the meeting timing and things of that nature. So I just wanted to update all of you who may not be aware of this. On our WISC website, wiscweb.wisc.edu, underneath support, we have the community of practice there. And the community of practice is a group of users, WordPress users, who are there to just share ideas, ask questions, get feedback, things of that nature, and to be a good positive community for, you know, content strategy, site building, things that you might want to do if you don't host with WiscWeb. There's a lot of ideas that are there as well. The group has gone to a quarterly meeting schedule now. Just to be aware of that, it's the last Wednesday of January, April, July, and October, unless otherwise noted based on holidays or anything of that nature. From 11:30 to 1. There is the email list down here. There is a Google Team Drive that you can be aware of. There is also, and Rich is working on it. He's just trying to, get it right before he makes it known. There's going to be a Teams channel for the community of practice to just kind of be there to chat about things when necessary, or to just chat, if you feel like it. So, but yeah, seeing Rich in the chat made me think about this, because I do want to make sure that people are aware of this. Our Lunch and Learns get a decent sized audience, and this is a very good group of people to interact with. So make sure you're aware of that. Join it, and be social. Let's see. Gosh, anything else going on? I'm trying to think. Any other updates, Jenna, that I need to be aware of that I didn't say?
I think we've got everything. I was just going to mention the user feedback survey and tie it to the UW theme release a little bit.
Yeah.
So wanted to thank everyone who participated in our user feedback survey earlier this year. That is very vital information for us to be able to make key changes to our service that can help improve your experience and the experience of your users. So thank you to everyone who participated, and wanted to let you know that a lot of the updates that we were able to make in this recent theme release were a direct result of that feedback you provided. So really helpful for us. Thank you again, and good job in keeping us aware of your needs. Thank you.
I guess a couple other things. I don't know about a couple other things. Another thing that just came into my mind. I had done a couple of learn with mats. Basically, just me bumbling through a few things to just kind of teach people how to do some things. I'm now posting those videos in my training area. So, we talked about page layouts and elements. I did a training on data tables and data charts. We talked about the redirection plugin. There are probably several more that I could put up there. I'm going to try and do a few more of these over the next few weeks now that the summer's here and all of you have so much free time. School's out. But I'm going to try and do a few more of these just to kind of I kind of look at this as, hey, Matt, you have an idea. Why don't you share that with people? One of the things that Jenna and I have talked about, and we as a team are kind of looking at how we can do this a little bit more, is creating like templates. And, how does that look? How can we create some like page layout templates for you? We've talked about like full site layout templates as well. So, that might be something where I might spend an hour just like building out a few generic pages and then export them and kind of walk through the process of how you would export things, how you would import things, how you would update it, rename it, things of that nature. And then, there's lots of things I could keep training people on. There's lots of things that I could keep retraining people on. So, I have a couple of notes here. There's some stuff that I've been doing with some form questionnaires that I thought people would be interested in. There's a WP data table from Econ that I helped somebody build out. And then Jenna and I, maybe we should do this as just a one-off like 90-minute training or 90-minute session where people can watch. Jenna and I have talked about rebuilding the WiscWeb homepage, and maybe we'll just stream us testing and trying to build it, just to show you all what goes into, like, it's not just make it and go. There's thought that has to go into it. How do you do your navigation and things like that? So maybe we'll do that. We'll stream us fuddling through trying to rebuild the WiscWeb homepage. So I guess I'll just hold on for any other questions, but otherwise, thanks everybody for tuning in. We were pretty excited about this Lunch and Learn because this, like I said, this was a very big theme release for us with a lot of new features that we were excited to show you all. And we hope you guys take advantage of all that stuff. As always, reach out to us if you have any questions. You guys can always find me in my email. You can chat with me on Teams. You can email the support list. Lots of different ways to get in touch with us. So that's that. I will mute myself now, but thanks everybody for coming. We'll talk to you again next month. Stay cool out there. It is hot. It is unpleasant. Stay safe, and we'll talk to everybody soon.